Hello, good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back. Today, December 28th. We're here for the New York morning session. And I want to start this morning off by going over the news that we have today. Today at 8:30, we had unemployment claims announced. Unemployment claims a little bit higher than forecasted, which is bad for the economy. It was only 7,000 unemployment claims higher than they thought. So I'm not sure what type of reaction that was going to give. We'll see in a moment what happened at 8:30. And then in 5 minutes at 10 o'clock, we'll have pending home sales. Both are orange folders, so neither red folders today. In fact, there's no red folders at all this week. Tomorrow is another orange folder. And then we head into next week, which likely will return red folders and confirm starting on January 3rd. All right. Next thing I want to do is let's take a look at sort of high level where the market is right now. If we take a peek at the dollar, have the dollar up on the screen for the weekly. And as we look at the weekly for the dollar, we see the candle for this week so far has easily pushed past last week's low, continuing to push lower, just like the past 7 or 8 weeks for the dollar. I have this as sort of a target of where liquidity wants to draw to. We have equal lows here from July 10th and the week of July 17th. So I feel like that's where the dollar is pulling to. Not saying it's going to get there this week, but over the next several weeks, that's where I believe that the target for the dollar will be. So if we're expecting lower prices for the dollar, then we're going to do the opposite for commodities. We're going to be looking for higher prices on all indices, all stocks, gold, silver, you name it. We're going to be looking for higher prices. And if I move over to the daily, we see so far the daily on the dollar hasn't moved very much. We did some retracement. Let me make this a little larger. So there was some retracement back towards the low from 2 days ago, from Tuesday. And I try to close in and make sure there's not such a large gap there. But there also was some expansion to the downside we've already seen. And then we saw it retrace back to pretty much opening prices. So the dollar is where it was at the opening of yesterday, well, around 1800-ish. And so far it hasn't made a decision if this is its low for the day or if it's going to continue lower. So we'll want to continue to monitor this since it has retraced back to opening prices. Let's move over. Let's do ES first today. Okay, we see if you've been with me this week, we've already been talking about this, where all the indices have taken over last week's high, push for higher prices over the last couple days. Let's see where we are today. A little far today, not a lot of expansion, not much movement at all. If we look, we don't really see fair value gaps here, so there's really nowhere to retrace into. The closest fair value gap is this one. Which has already been traded back to on December 20th, just barely, not a lot, but it did dip in there and it expanded out. So over the coming weeks, we want to see if price retraces back down even deeper into this fair value gap before pushing higher. But as of now, we expect price to push higher. We can see that as of today, it's already taken out yesterday's high. So today, so the goal of today has already been met, really. On a high level, but there may be some other targets that price wants to hit, and so we may still see expansion today, even though we've already taken out yesterday's high. Okay, let's now get over to Nasdaq, which is the pair I'll be trading. Okay, just like ES, we've seen the high of this week already taken. We do have a sizable fair value gap right here, just below from the week before Christmas or 2 weeks before, that we could see price trade back into either this week, next week, or sometime soon. Let's see where the highs may lie. Oh, that's right. I should be doing this on the continuous contract if I want to look at old weekly levels. All right, so we can see that we're still inside of that weekly fair value gap we've been sitting inside of for a better part of 2 weeks now. We're getting near the end. Let me just make this larger. So if we look at when this was December 20, the week of December 27th, which is exactly 2 years ago. And the following week, the first week in January of 2022. And then the week after that is what created this fair value gap. Right, we can see this little dash line, which is where price is right now. We're in the upper 50% of the gap, but we still have not gotten out of the gap. And in order to get out of the gap, we need a price of 17,230, essentially 17,230. That'll get us out of the gap, and then we'll start trading into these wicks here that haven't been traded into, up in the 17,380, 17,340. I'm sorry, 17,400. So somewhere between 17 to where was it? Yep, 17,234 ish, up to 17,400 is where I think we'll end up landing. All right, let's look over at the daily. I know we just pointed out there was a sizable fair value gap on the weekly. On the daily chart, we have an ever so slight one from just a couple days ago, right here. If we trade below the low of the December 20th, there's a fair value gap in here. And then there's another one in here as well. So we have a handful that are in this price leg that hasn't been traded back into. But as of right now, price is still making new highs. It's even made a new high today already. And so we're just going to ride that wave and take what price gives us, but expect higher prices. All right, so the 4 hours, anything to note there? 4 hour, we've already traded into a small fair value gap that was here. We have relative equal lows plus a nice wick that it could trade down into. So you're talking about 17,090-ish in that range. To eclipse this low, you're talking 17,056. But outside of that, I don't see a lot on this price leg for the 4 hour that price would need to trade into. Right? Because even this fair value gap here was traded into on both of these wicks. We have two wicks that traded down into this fair value gap. So it's been traded into, even though it didn't have a candle body on top of it. It did get traded into. So as I said, we're going to be looking for higher prices, but we will take what price gives us. So with that being said, let me drop down to the lower time frame. I think I'm going to start off on the 5-minute today. We just passed 10 o'clock just 1 minute ago, so we did get that news event. You see pending home sales. Says 0% was the actual. The forecast was 0.8. So that's also not good for currency. So we have two news events this morning that wasn't good for currency. So we would expect the dollar to drop even further, which should be good news for commodities. Good morning, Dustin, Ennis, John. Good morning, everyone. How's it going? All right. So I mentioned we did have a news event this morning at 8:30. Just want to see how price reacted to it. And we do see that we had a sharp move upwards, which I was unable to close above this high. So we did get a rejection back into the zone, which then saw lower prices and down to where we are now. I mean, it wasn't a huge move, about 40 points, but still, we saw a retracement down below these lows that were created at the open yesterday at 1800. All right. All right. Still moving lower, it seems. Okay, while we're here, let me draw up this fair value gap, which is from the close of yesterday, 1600. So if you were on the live stream yesterday afternoon and we were sitting here right at 1600, getting ready to shut everything down, and price just kind of took off on us. Well, here is where we are now, retracing back into that fair value gap. So we were happy to see the expansion yesterday, but price does need to revisit areas that didn't have price action both directions. lost the internet for a moment. But yeah, I noticed the candles weren't moving. Then I looked over and it said the chat was disconnected. So I hope you all were able to reconnect. Hey, good morning. Welcome to live stream. Let's see who we have. Furlani, I believe. I hope I said that correctly. Welcome to the stream. Rejected from 75%. Okay. Yep, it is exactly 75% too. Looks like to the tick. Okay. I might use the silver bullet today. We're in the 10 o'clock hour, so this would be a good time to use it. If I see it set up and something that I like, then sure, I don't have a problem using it. The key to using the silver bullet for me is to figure out which direction price is going, so you can choose the right fair value gap. For instance, if I was bullish, I would have likely taken the entry here when it came down, and actually really here at 17,109 if I was bullish. But then if I was bearish, I would see these bearish fair value gaps that were created, and this is where I would be taking my entry, right? And so with the silver bullet, you have to choose correctly. And as of now, I believe price should be bullish and should be going seeking higher prices. But I do see that that's what the Dow is doing. But the S&P and Nasdaq are both seeking lower prices right now. So for that reason, I'm a little cautious and haven't selected my entry level yet. But if I was 100% confident with where price was going right now, I would be looking for a long and would be taking an entry here at 17,109. But the silver bullet is really interesting. It's good for 10 o'clock in the morning, but also you can do the afternoon session at 2 p.m. Okay, awesome. All right, MS. You know, let's put one limit here and see if we get a fill. Oh, there we go. Oh, you're short from 158. Okay, well, you had a very solid trade then. Not bad. Samuel, I don't know. Maybe on my end, it's recording in mono instead of stereo. That's still something I need to look into and potentially fix. But that's likely what's happening is it's recording and transmitting in mono instead of stereo. Hey, good morning, Chris. Welcome. Yeah, it's really it's a down wicks, but let's see if we get an entry. Yep. Yeah, Chris, we're actually using the fair value gap that was created yesterday at 4 o'clock, I believe. And we saw that big upside. I'm not sure if you were still on the live stream in the afternoon, but we saw a huge move at 355 or so, or here 359, and it created a demand fair value gap that is only now getting traded back into. No, actually, the fair value gap doesn't need to be created between 10 and 11. It just needs to be traded into between 10 and 11. But sometimes the fair value gap was created beforehand. Yep, I was just explaining to John because he was asking the same thing about the silver bullet, and he had some questions about the concept and whether I was going to trade it. And so he was asking me about it, and so I was explaining to him about um, having to know the direction. So your directional bias is the most important piece to the silver bullet, um, because as you can see, we have two fair value gaps to choose from. If we were short, we would be shorting out of this one, and if we're long, we'd be longing out of this one, right? So we have both options available to us, and so that's where directional bias is really, really key and really important. I was long this morning just because of the way the news came out, and also by looking at the dollar. The first couple minutes, I walked everyone through the high level, and when we revisited the dollar, we could see that the dollar was drawing towards a low created several months ago. And in doing so, that then made us long for all commodities. At the time, Nasdaq and S&P were trading lower, the Dow was trading higher, and the dollar was just kind of stagnant, not doing much. So I was looking for more signs from the dollar that it wanted to be bullish, because that was my expectation for today. Even though it's already taken out yesterday's high, I still am bullish today. Um, but as you can see, it took me too long to make up my mind, and price hasn't revisited since I put a limit order in. So there you have it. I will cancel my limit order. Price has moved quite a far away, and also is right at the target here, the first target of sweeping this high. We're also in the new day opening gap. So you want to see price push through and above. But with the risk that needed to be taken to enter here, um, I had the profit being at around 150, I believe, 17,150. So up in this area, about a 40-point move, probably right here to this candle body here. D. Smith, welcome. Good morning. Okay, for the time being, it looks like price may be struggling to get through the new day opening gap. That's true. Yeah, this 15-minute fair value gap, in order to reach 17,150, it's definitely going to have to push through and get through the midnight open as well. All right, so it's inside of that fair value gap now on the 15-minute in the bottom low left-hand corner of the screen. But let's see how it pushes through. It looks like it's approaching the midpoint now. About another 17, 18 points to target for anyone who took the fair value gap entry down here. around 110. Should be about a 40-point move. I'm gonna run and get some coffee. I'll be right back. All right, so it's still making a steady climb of higher prices. Just doing it pretty slowly, but still making higher prices. Let's see, there's another 9 minutes on the 15-minute candle. Yep. All right, John, I think it's pretty confirmed now that was the silver bullet delivered in this fair value gap here. So far, it's already delivered somewhere around 25 points. Let's see, 23 or so. Why did I decide to live stream? Mostly because it keeps me honest. Makes it where I have to consider the trade and follow my rules to enter and all that. Being in front of people does definitely keeps me honest that way. But also it by talking out the trades the way I'm doing now, it confirms my learning and helps to build my confidence. So that was another reason to do so. I didn't realize I would have so much fun doing it. Like that was something that was very surprising to me, but I'm really enjoying it. But those were the top two reasons why I decided to live stream. But I'm sitting here trading anyway, so I didn't mind jumping on YouTube and trading with other people. uh, okay, yeah, go for it, Samuel. Yeah, it could go to noon. I mean, you never know. I had it going here only because to enter a trade at the very top of the stop loss would have required a stop loss of 20 points. And so the 20-point stop loss, doing a 1 to 2 trade, you want a 40-point take profit. And so that's kind of how we landed here at 149. Oddly enough, it also is the candle body of this peak here, this swing high. I mean, price could dig into these wicks as well. But if I was in this trade, I would just be happy with a TP right there. Did it 30? Let me check that, Anis. That it did. You're right about that. We right down to 50%, back around twice, out that last little dig, and then it was gone. So therefore, if you missed this entry or these two, you were given a fair value gap here that you could have entered in on the retracement here. And then from there, it was out. And anyone who wanted to get in late, there was one entry here. Oh, okay. Nice, nice, Prince. Yeah, you can get in, get you 5 quick points, and then jump right out. No, this line is not the VWAP. This line is the take profit for anyone who entered here. Yeah, let me just give everybody that again. So on the 1 minute, this is the fair value gap from yesterday at 1600 when we had the big run up at the end of the session, right? And so the way I would enter a fair value gap trade is I would enter the very first moment I could. Like some people like to wait until it gets to 50% or wait till it's somewhere inside. But me, if you want to ensure you do get in the trade, you got to get in at the very first tick. So that would have been here at 17,109. But then the stop loss for me, the way I like to do it is I go to the candle to the left, which is this one, and I go down to the lower extreme. So I would have been putting a stop loss here at 17,092, right? So okay, so it's not quite 20 points. So it was 9, 8, 9. So it's about 18-point stop loss. But in a nutshell, that's how I do it. And then I do a 1 for 2. So if I'm putting a stop loss at 18 points and I need to put a take profit at 36. And that's kind of how it is. Took a short at the 50% retracement on the 5-minute fair value gap. All right. Let's see what the 5-minute fair value gap gave us. Fifty% retracement to the 5-minute fair value gap created 9. Oh, so you're saying you took Yeah, I'm not sure. Stop loss is now at 37. Well, Samuel, I trade New York because I'm in the U.S. and so this is a time that I'm awake. I'm in Arizona, so I'm close. I'm on the west side of the country, not quite on the coast, but on the west side of the country. So this is still even early for me. So when I get on at 10 o'clock, it's actually 8 o'clock in the morning for me. But for half the year is at 8 o'clock. The other half of the year, I'm 3 hours from New York, so it'll be 7 a.m. So that's why the New York session works for me because it's the time that I'm awake. But other than that, there's no reason that I trade New York over London or I mean, Asia usually doesn't have a lot of volume, but London, I'm asleep. That's why. Short at 17,134. Okay, 17,134. All right, looks like price ran down to the new day opening gap, 50%, and then rejected out of that. So we'll see what the next few candles brings. But it looks like we did get a rejection out of that level. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Samuel, if you were free during the day, if you had time, you would most likely trade the London session then. But when the London session opens, it's 2 a.m. New York, which is midnight for me. So, so yeah, unfortunately, I'm sleeping at that time. Mm. Asia lows. Yeah. Let's see. So, yep. So the new day opening gap is right when everything opened up, traded below up until around 8 p.m. and then traded above until 9:30 this morning. All right. Let's see if price can get up here before the next hour. I mean, I've seen some silver bullet entries take uh, 45 minutes or so, up to an hour actually, to deliver. The thing with the silver bullet, you want to be in your trade before 10:59, but it can deliver into the 11 o'clock hour. All right, at upper limit of that 15-minute fair value gap, approaching the midnight open, which is where it is right now. And let me just draw this one so we can see when we break through. All right, there we go. Let's see if we get another one. One more big push. In fact, let me put the long tool in because I know I did it wrong. I think I said the stop loss was at 0.92. Oh, 92.50. Okay. Alrighty. And now we're looking for a 1 to 2 trade, which takes us where? Right here. And the trade would be over. Last candle. So not quite where I had it. I think I just rounded up and just said 20 point stop loss, 40 point take profit. But in fact, it was 18 stop loss and 36 take profit. But yeah, if you were trading a silver bullet, this is how I would have done it. So John and Chris, I know you two are the ones talking about the silver bullet. But if anyone else was interested, there's today's example for the morning session. Let's see. John, was that you who asked yesterday about daily bias during the afternoon session? I know, Chris, I was a little slow. So this was the last candle that dipped down in, and I was setting up my limit order on one of these two candles, and it just never came back to tap in. I could have just entered where I was, and that would have cost me 2 or 3 points. And that's what I did that yesterday on 2 separate trades, where it was close enough to my entry, but didn't quite tap me in yet. And I just did a market execution to get in to make sure I was in. And then if it retraced, then that just gave me 2 orders. But I don't know if you guys caught that, but Dave Trades FX was in the room and he scolded me for that. So there you have it. I tried to follow my rules today and not enter if I was slightly outside of the range of entry. And it didn't give me an entry, so I didn't make it. But yeah, so anyone who took that trade, congratulations. Glad it was a winner for you. Anyone who was just watching from the sideline and just wanted to know more about the silver bullet, I hope that was helpful and informative. And we can check it again this afternoon. So anyone who joins the afternoon session, We'll take a look at 2 o'clock and see what happens. Yeah, no trade makes you available for the next trade. I'll tell you that. um, but no, this was it was good to see. I hadn't really focused on the silver bullet in several months, so this was good to look at. But there are two main strategies from ICT that I like to use a lot. The silver bullet is one, and the other is the 2022 mentorship model that he created. He demonstrated last year. He had a whole year of like 40 videos where he took the first 15 or 20 videos just to introduce the concept and show all the intricacies about it. And then we moved into the second set of videos, like video 21 through 40 or however many he has. And he just kind of went over examples regularly, just showing us exactly how the silver bullet delivered. So that's really when I started watching ICT, is during his 2022 mentorship. And then I watched a lot of his old stuff and then followed through with his 2023 material. All right, another 5 minutes and we'll close out the 10 o'clock hour. Another 5 minutes. All prices finishing up its run. If anyone has any questions, throw it in the chat. If you are new here, welcome. If you're returning, good to have you back. Thank you all who have liked the video so far. Doing so really helps support the channel, and YouTube will find us new members to join based on how much feedback we're getting from everyone watching the live stream. So if you could hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, that is much appreciated. And if it's your first go or you're on the fence about subscribing, please do so. That ensures that you get invitations to all future live events. And I'm almost positive I'll be able to win you over. If not today, maybe next time. So consider subscribing. Alrighty. So I delivered the 1 to 2 with just a little bit to spare, but definitely not 40 points. Yeah, and I really discovered this during my back testing of the strategy, is that when you go for 1 to 2, you have a really high strike rate. If you try to go for a particular number, like let's say you like 40 points or you like 50 points or whatever, your strike rate is much less. I'm not sure about the Indian markets. So because global cues look super bullish. Well, the U.S. markets are really, excuse me, largely determined by what's happening with our currency, with the dollar and its strength. So I wonder if the same correlation is there with the Indian markets as well. Maybe you want to take a look at how the currency there is doing and go and maybe take a look at the weekly charts and see what your expectation is for long term, or at least the next couple months of the Indian currency, and maybe that'll help you out with the commodities. Okay, so you hit TP of 25 a little while back, but didn't wait. Sometimes my problem. Not waiting long enough for more profits. Um, it's completely up to you, Chris. In my case, once you set a target, if you set a target and say I want 25 points, then you've met your goal, even if it runs for 50, right? And you have to be happy with that because that was the target you set. You set the target, you met the target. So congratulations. Um, but don't have FOMO and always want what someone else has, because yeah, that's generally when you run into trouble. So I would say be content with enough. 5 minute fair value gap. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So you had a trade in, which gave you a short if you wanted it from here down. And now we're back in that area and we were not able to close above and we're rejecting. You know what? Let's just sit here on the 5 minute for a few moments. Let's see what we can gather from having fewer candles on the chart. This, there we go. Wanted to see if we can get a bounce out of here. It looks like no. All right. Well, it was a low risk entry, but Thought maybe we can get a bounce out. Let's delete this and this. All right, MS, take care. See you next time. Yeah, what? I think I want this entry one more time. Oh, thank you, MS. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Oh, trading since the late 90s. Wow. I only discovered trading 3 years ago. I wish I discovered it 20 years ago, 20 plus. All right, looks like price might want to run away from me, but I'm going to hold that limit order and wait for the retracement. And let me pop over and take a peek at what's going on elsewhere. All right, the Dow slightly up. I mean, it's only been 7 minutes in this hour. The dollar is up pretty massively this hour, which is surprising. S&P down, selling off a little, and Nasdaq selling as well. uh, I appreciate you, John. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, this buy? Okay, sure. All right. So this buy is more of an optimal trade entry. So just essentially a Fibonacci. So this is me just being bullish starting. So starting off with a bias of being bullish. So what I did is I took a Fibonacci and I measured this move. So the 70% retracement became what they call an optimal trade entry, which is that's what ICT calls it. But it's essentially between the 62% and the 80. You know what? Let me change this. There we go. All right. So essentially optimal trade entry is from 62% down to 78%. Okay. Anywhere in this zone, with 70% being that 50% mark. So I saw price push down and reject above and close. So then I put an entry at the 70%, which also is a fair value gap. So let me just delete this for a second, just so we can see. Right. We also have a fair value gap right here. So I felt like taking an entry from there, and then I just used my same stop loss from fair value gaps, which is not the candle that made it, but the candle to the left and the wick. So then that became my stop. And so above these highs became my take profit. Move our stop up there. I don't really want to see price move below that last low that was made. But I do recognize it might find trouble getting through the new day opening gap, because we pushed through it last time and we had trouble staying above it. We pushed back below. So I just want to make sure we can get through and stay above. And if not, want to have a stop loss in so to take me out of the trade. The Treasury note auction. I didn't see that on the calendar. Maybe that's a yellow folder. Give me a second. Nope, I don't see that anywhere. Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, I wasn't aware. All right, guys, I'll be right back. One more cup of coffee, and then we'll call it a day. But I'll be right back. All righty. Okay, thanks, John. There you go. First item on the list. Okay, today is the 13-week and the 26-week bill. Okay, awesome. Oh no, it's a 4-week, 8-week, and 7-year. Alrighty. I think I'm getting ready to abandon this trade. All right. So we abandoned this trade at break even. And I abandoned the trade because the dollar is just pumping right now. And the other indices are either stalling or look like they're going to push down soon. So we abandoned a trade at break even. We'll see what happens, and we can't get upset either way or happy either way. It's just, I thought we'd get a push upwards, and it just didn't happen. I'm actually surprised the dollar is pumping this hour. Based on the information that came out during the news events this morning, the dollar should be selling. But yeah, the fact that the indices are not in line right now, that didn't give me a lot of confidence with that trade. Even though it was still looking favorable. We had pushed down through the fair value gap 3 times, all 3 rejected above, even though we got this candle now pushing. Yep, yep. Had to abandon the trade. And it was good that it pushed up just above my entry right when I wanted to get out. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. Exit. Yeah. That's one reason why I hate entering trades if I miss it. So like the silver bullet, that was the trade. So when it dipped in here the first time, second or third time, that was the entry. Should have taken it out. After that, we'd have to wait for a new setup. And this retracement here was essentially the same setup. It was the same price leg, assuming that it was going to go and reach for this high. Yeah, but it's okay. We'll look for another setup. And for anyone on the afternoon session, we'll take another peek at the silver bullet during 2 o'clock. All right. Yep. So this is where my stop loss would have been. So yeah, I would have got stopped out. Oh man. Unbelievable. I think we have the most people watching the live stream now that we've ever had. Right now, it's showing there's 65 people in the room. Thank you to all the returning members and to all the newcomers who just found me this week or today. I want to thank you for being here and trading with me. All right, so we did get a retracement back to the entry level of the silver bullet from last hour. And we got a nice reaction out of it, which is, I'm a little bitter about that, but nonetheless, we did get a reaction out so far for about 10 points almost. Yep. Echelon, good to see you again. Trading with Ken. Welcome to the channel. Hope to see you again. Hope you're enjoying it, and yeah, you'll consider subscribing and joining the channel and joining the sessions daily. Yeah, so on the way down, at least on this 1 minute chart, we only got one fair value gap to really use, and it's this one here. It's up near the top, so we're a little ways away from it right now. But all of this price action here didn't really leave, anything for it to trace back into or trade back into. So for that, we're gonna just continue monitoring price and see if it wants to go lower. Trading with Ken, no, I don't get on it open. I get on just after. So right around 10 o'clock. So right after, so we let the opening bell go off, and then we give price 20 or 30 minutes to settle down, and that's when we come on. I'm still debating. I may actually start coming on an hour earlier and start showing up at 9 o'clock. I haven't decided that yet. Let's go back to the 5 minute and see if there's anything there. Not really. We did get a rejection out of the fair value gap still. Remember this fair value gap for those who joined late. This fair value gap is from 1600 yesterday. So if you were on the afternoon session yesterday, right as we were closing up and getting ready to leave, price just kind of ran to target right at 359. And so because of that, it created this fair value gap, which we're now revisiting for the second time this morning. Jackie, my time zone is Mountain Time, so U.S. Mountain Time. So I'm 2 hours behind New York. Alrighty. Good to have you, Jackie. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Okay, another rejection out of the same fair value gap. Let's see now if we do get a push for higher prices. At least up to the swing high that was created just before 11 o'clock, if not even higher, up to where we saw the high at 8:30, which would be our high of the day. Yeah, well, Chris, if you take it, it'll be the same setup as before, which was, I think it was at 92, I think. It was 92 and a half, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Yeah, I think I'm going to save my capital for the afternoon session. Maybe look for something around 1:30, or either wait till 2 o'clock for the silver bullet setup. Right. But if we get something in the next few minutes, I may be interested in this level, just because of what type of reaction we had earlier, about an hour ago. Well, hour and a half. There you go. $4. That's a commission. Looks like a commission for one trade. Yeah, because it's already delivered in this area. I'm not overly anxious to jump in at the same spot. But again, we'll see. I like to take what price gives me. And so I want to continue to watch it and just see if it gives me something else. Otherwise, yeah, just wait. Let it complete its turn during the lunch hour. See what type of liquidity is taken, especially if it's liquidity taken to the downside. Then we can look for more bullish action this afternoon. Make it up. Everyone who liked the video earlier, I really do appreciate it. You could see that right after you did that, all of a sudden we had a surge of people joining the channel. We ended up having the most in the channel that I've had so far. And this is the completion of week 4. So we've been doing this now for a month. Um, so it really does help. YouTube uses it, and it makes me feel good too. So if you just want to give me a thank you, that's free. Then every day when you join, just like the video, and that's enough. Looks like we got a 4th rejection. Got 2 minutes left on this candle. We're on the 5-minute chart right now. Malik, all right. Awesome, man. Yeah, there's a ton of material on YouTube to help you get started with OBS, get everything configured. For me, the biggest problem was my microphone. I couldn't get my mic to sound anything close to my voice. Um, it was awful. So if you go on my channel and you watch videos from like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I gotta warn you, it's cringeworthy. It's not good at all. Um, but I just wanted to get going and get started so I can get over the jitters of being in front of people and all that. And just committed myself to being 1% better every day. So if you do that, I think you'll be fine. But yeah, on YouTube, there's plenty of people help you get OBS set up, and then you just start to stream and see what happens. But the discipline I have when I'm streaming is unlike anything I've had before. All right, coming around the turn, getting ready to close out this candle. Let's see where we end up. Ah, 117. Okay. Making progress. It's just a slow grind right now. Right. If I go down to the 1 minute, you'll see the last pretty much 20 minutes, candles haven't moved anywhere. Yep. We move down these two candles and then move sideways. Let's go to 30-second. All right. Okay, look like some highs have now been eclipsed. Hmm. Oh, you're going to take it to the new day opening gap. Okay. That makes sense. It should be an easy target. All right, let's see. It's at 117. All right. 128. Let's just see where your stop will be on a 1 to 2 trade. Okay. So you would have a stop down at 11.5, which so far would still have you in the trade. All right, Brad, let's see how your trade turns out. No, it's okay. I know you said hopefully, and we're all hopeful whenever we enter a trade, but we'll line it up and just pay attention and see what happens. And I'm not saying this is where your stop loss is, Brad. It's just if I was doing a trade, I would do a 1 to 2 as far as risk reward. And so this is where my stop would be based on this take profit at 128. All right, it looks like we got a wick off of the 50% of this breaker. Let me just stretch that out. Let's see if now we can get a new high here. Two, three, four. Okay, so the last 4 candles have had, or actually 7 out of the last 8 candles have pretty much had equal highs. So that seems to be where the where the restriction is right now. Let's see if, or resistance. Let's see if we can push through that, end up on the other side, and push above this candle. The swing high at 1122 up at 17120. $17,105. Thanks for that, Chuck. No, this is, I think this is 20 EMA, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 20. I forget why I drew that up one day. There was somebody in the chat asked about it, and I threw it up there, and it's been there now for the last few weeks. All right, got a new high, which is just good. Yep. Keep in mind, Chuck and Brad, this is also where the silver bullet at 10 o'clock occurred. So we've seen strong momentum push out of this level before. We also saw this created yesterday at the close of the trading day. So it definitely was a level that was hard to get through for much of the afternoon. And then the last minute of just before 4 o'clock, we just saw it blast right through it like it wasn't even there. So that may be why we got good support from this level once and now twice. All right, Brad. Hopefully you're not sweating as much anymore, and you're able to calm down. Yeah, it'd be nice to see it get up there before the macro comes in another 7, 8 minutes. Another 7 minutes now. Right, fair value gap here. Yeah, Brad, I know the feeling, man. I had to overcome that. That used to bother me so bad. It's like every time I was in a trade, I just couldn't calm down. Okay, let's see. All right, so we took out these equal highs already. Up next are these equal highs. And then there's a third set of equal highs. Okay, let's make this a little larger. Okay, there we go. So we did get pushed between the 50%, but we got a closure above. So we stayed in that upper quadrant, or the upper half of the fair value gap. We also saw the next candle trade below, but it's open, obviously, is above. So if we can get a close above the 50%, we're still good for bullish momentum, which we did. Let's go ahead and mark up this order block and see if it holds price. All right. Let's see where we close in 29 seconds. Okay, close right at the entry that Brad came in with. Hey, I'm trying to keep everyone calm in here, myself included. But yeah, that's the best kind of trading. I mean, when you're calm and whatever the outcome is, you're okay with it because you know you followed your rules and you did what you were supposed to do. That's where you want to get to as a trader, where every trade is just a trade. It's not a make or break it. It's not a, if I lose, my confidence is in the toilet, and if I win, my confidence is through the roof. It's not that either. It's just a trade. Yeah, but your trade's not invalidated yet. There is no stop loss hit yet. We haven't gotten down here. And we're about 90 seconds away from the macro running. So let's see what happens as we approach 11:50 and then afterwards. Thanks, Malik. All right, let's delete this because the order block didn't hold up at all. Okay, we lost this level on the fair value gap. And more seconds. All right, 11:50 it is. Let's see where the macro takes us. MD, Isif. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Good morning. Or good morning for me, but I'm not sure where you are in the world, but welcome. I'm doing well, doing well. We have a few more minutes left on this stream for the morning, and then we'll come back at 1 o'clock for the afternoon session. But welcome. Yeah, I have this long tool here because one of the members mentioned that he was in a long from this level. And this is where his target was. So I just lined it up so everyone else in the room could see how that trade develops. We've had, I don't know what it is about his entry, but seems like that's been a magnet for price the last 5 candles or so. We continue to get closures above that level. So we're still confident that we may see higher prices. We're also now inside of the macro. The macro is going to seek out liquidity, which could be resting here. And as I mentioned, we had equal highs here and equal highs here. So I labeled all 3 equal highs. So far, we've only taken the first one. So let me go ahead and delete it since we've already taken it. But there are 2 more levels of equal highs that I think may be a magnet for price. Louisiana, right? The dairy. Welcome, welcome. I'm trading out of Arizona. Okay, now we got another push below the 50% of this breaker. All right, we're at the lower threshold. Okay, so if I was in this trade with my risk tolerance, I would now have been stopped out. Yeah, I'm going to leave these 2 markings up for the equal highs. I still think that that's where price is going to be pulled to get rid of that liquidity. So that's either going to happen during lunch or shortly afterwards. So if we get back after lunch and those 2 levels are still active, then that's where we'll look for price to move to. But it looks like it may want to retrace back into this fair value gap from yesterday at 1600. But we'll see. It got within, I think, 2 ticks of the lower extremity of this breaker here. Okay, Apple and Microsoft slowly grinding up. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure they're a big part of the Nasdaq. So that's good news for Nasdaq. Okay. You think 17,000? Oh, trading with Ken. You think 17,000? Like down here, 17,000? All right, let's see when's the last time we were there. Okay, looks like Tuesday morning was last time we was in this range of 17,000. Um, yeah, it could go down there. It looks like there's a gap here that was probably never played into something. Maybe. Now, I don't really see a lot there, but it could go down there. Oh, typo. Okay. 17,102. I see. Market marked as demand. Okay. 17,060. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I knew what you meant at that time. I said, okay, he must mean 060. All right. So we're talking below this fair value gap by a good amount down to here. Let's go over to the 15-minute and see where is 17,060 and what was going on there. Oh, okay. Okay. So we got that swing low from 2 o'clock yesterday. Yep. But that's good. I mean, we'll let price do what it does during the lunch hour. Hopefully, it clears out some uh, the ambiguous trading that we've seen so far. And so we come into the afternoon with a clearer vision of where price is going. We did get a good bounce up when it traded down here the first time. Got a nice bounce out. It's returned, and so far it's been a little lackluster. Still showing bullish price action, but nothing really strong. Um, so maybe this afternoon we'll get something a little better. And right now, actually, let's see if we get one of these key levels, one of these equal highs. No. All right. I think people know that it's getting close to the end. Let me just throw this up here and look and show everyone. This is what the amount of people on the stream looks like. It looks just like price action. We reach a peak, we retrace, we reach a peak, we retrace, peak, retrace, peak, retrace, and now we kind of got equal highs here. I just thought that was interesting since we're trading and looking at candlestick patterns. The entry point. I don't know. I haven't called out a trade recently. But if you're talking to Brad or trading with Ken or one of them, not sure. Yeah, it definitely looks bullish for sure. I just thought that was funny. It probably does have a fair value gap because there was some pretty quick expansions there, which is probably what it traded back into. You get a quick expansion, people hang out for a minute or two, and then they drop off. It retrace back down, and then you get another group of people to come in. Some will stay, some will go, and you just keep building. All right, everyone, we are 30 seconds away from lunchtime. So 30 seconds away from lunchtime, and we're still hanging out in this this breaker that I drew up from 1120. There was a push out of it and a retrace right back inside. So far, there hasn't been a retracement outside or below. It hasn't been a retracement below since it made this high. It looks like potentially all the candle bodies are in the upper above 25%. Let's see. No, slightly below, so that's not true. But so far, all the price action has remained inside of this breaker. I would expect this high to be swept along with these two levels up to the 17,130. Hopefully that can happen during lunch. And as I mentioned, if that doesn't happen when we come back, we'll take another peek. What's interesting is in between these two levels is the new day opening gap. I wasn't really paying attention to that when I drew up these two levels, but that's interesting that that's what's sitting in between. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's let it chop now and do what it does. And then after lunch, let's hope the chop is over and then we have better trading conditions. So for anyone who's free this afternoon and wants to jump back on, the invitation is already out. So you should be able to join the afternoon session. If you haven't subscribed, do so immediately, and then that'll give you the invitation so you can come back this afternoon. And for everyone else who is only a morning trader and has other things to do, I appreciate you. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. So I'm going to take a break now for an hour, and then I'll be back. All right, I got a thumbs down. Well, sorry I wasn't able to help you. But okay, looks like price is moving up. So for anyone who's looking to trade the lunch hour, you may actually get some price action to take a bullish move. So, oh, thank you. Thanks for changing that. Appreciate it. All right, everyone. See afternoon traders in an hour, and everyone else, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Talk to you then. Take care.